Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's your nighttime, your right time DJ Music. Of course, you see the title over there, and I'm sure at some point in time, one of these guys will probably want to come over to this broadcast. And if you're listening, you're more than welcome to come in and sit into my broadcast and defend what I'm about to say, if there is a defense for it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use your own words, your own actions, SYBM, and manosphere. I'm going to use your own words and your own actions against you. Now, this list I did not compile. I didn't seek you guys out. I just merely did my homework on you. And let's back this up just a little bit, folks. Yesterday, I was at a broadcast. I was invited to a broadcast, and I decided to jump on the panel to offer up some information that I had. As we as black people, that's what we should do. If we have some information for the betterment of our people, and there's a platform that you can share it, you should, with no problem. But because these guys from SYBM and the manosphere didn't like the fact and the idea that someone was in their chat room disrespecting a black woman, and when I chin checked them for not defending that black woman, they decided that they wanted to turn on me. Now, normally, I don't go behind myself to create another argument or to talk about an argument that I had with a bunch of fools on any particular day. I normally walk away. But in this case, these guys kept me up. They kept me up so much so that after they thought that they came over to this particular broadcast and talked to me, and scolded me, as they said, put me in my place, as they said, they went back to their home base and created another broadcast just to talk about the events of me and them. Now, I don't really want to bring up the particular person's stream, but for those of you that are familiar with me, and those of you that are familiar with some of the places that we hang out on YouTube, you'll know exactly who I'm talking about. I don't want to call any names, but when you hear these people's voices, you will know who I'm talking about. Now, let me premise this a little bit. These guys from SYBM, the acronym meaning Save Yourself Black Man, and the manosphere, they preach this religion of women should be submissive, not knowing what the term submissive means. They think submissive means that the woman has to bow down to them, that she has no rights, she has no voice, she has no say-so. She is just there for their convenience. And once a woman comes into their space, as they say, that she should expect to be disrespected. If she opens her mouth, anyone in the manosphere or any place that they hang out at has the right to chin check her. Normally with a name. They call black women hyenas. They call black women all kinds of disparaging words. And they keep doing it over and over and over and over. Yesterday, there was some comments made about, I'm trying to remember exactly, I'm trying to paraphrase, but after the young lady was in the chat room and she told the person that runs the chat that, hey, someone's down in your chat room disrespecting me, could you check something about that? I was under the impression, folks, that it was just another listener that was in there, another one of their followers. But this was a moderator. This was somebody who was in that space to conduct order. But instead, he went on attack because he didn't agree with what a black woman said, even though what she was speaking was 100% correct. And that's what compelled me to get onto that panel. This woman knows what she's talking about, and it wouldn't be bad to add some credence and some information to what she is talking about. So, having said that, after the young lady excused herself, the guys, as I'll call them, they called in for reinforcements. They brought in their heavy armor. They brought in a guy that they knew that was going to shut me down. They knew that he could overtalk me. They knew that I would back down from him. Now, since they like calling people names, I'll call them a few names. These so-called men have it backwards. They are the simps. You sit in a four-cornered room and complain about how bad women have done you since your high school days. You didn't get to go to the prom because the football player took the girl I wanted to the prom. You didn't get to go to a high school dance because your mama wouldn't take you. You didn't get to go hang out with the fellas at the corner because you was just too square. You didn't fit in properly. Now, as a grown man, you feel that the world is your oyster and you can say anything you want to. So you got back to revenge mode. I'll fix these women for not accepting me when I was in school. I'll create a post and talk trash on them and see how many people I can get to agree with me. Well, there's more of us that disagree with you, punks. Hey, crew, how you doing, my man? There's more of us that disagree with you, punks, than agree with you. And I'm one of those folks that disagree. I asked these gentlemen on the panel yesterday, if you saw a random black woman, or any woman for that matter, being berated in the street, either physically or verbally, would you step in? The unanimous answer over there in that space was hell no. One even guy went so much to say, hell, they call their own self bitches. My answer to that, so two wrongs make it right. And I wanted to add to this, why are you sitting up in women's spaces anyway? Hey, Chandra. Why are you in women's spaces anyway? As the manosphere, and I use that term loosely, that's the last thing as a man that I would want to do. Sit around a bunch of women and talk about problems. Men don't do that. These are the very same guys that if you go over to their Facebook page and you ask them what their interests are, all they can say is women. But if you follow them over to YouTube, the very interest that they say they have on Facebook is their mortal nemesis on YouTube, i.e. the black woman. Now, I'll say this. Do we have some bad black women in our midst? We damn sure do. Do we have some bad black men in our midst? We sure do. How do we correct these people? By putting them on blast. As I tried to explain to these men yesterday, there is a better way to correct someone. Screaming and yelling and cursing at somebody because you don't like what they said or you don't like what they stand for is not a correct way of bringing back black unity. Hey, Jay Shine, how are you? That's impossible. I know if I went anywhere to any place and somebody jumped on me, somebody started calling me out of my name. If I was a woman, if somebody called me a bitch, somebody called me a hyena, or somebody was talking about my parents, I wouldn't, as a woman, one or two things. Either I would strike back or I would leave. Some women choose to strike back. Some men choose to strike back. Some of us don't bow down at all. These guys at SYBS, whatever that acronym is, in the manosphere, they got shit twisted. The very same things that the white supremacists do, the very same thing that the KKK does, the very same thing that the alt-right does. Just go around in these little groups and these little think tanks, thinking of a way to put a light, shine a light into the bad underbelly of black life. And if you listen to them, their narrative is exactly the same. These guys are so much in belief, and I won't say belief, but they are so desperate. They're hoping that the coronavirus, listen to this, folks, they hope that the coronavirus will teach black women a lesson so they can come back to the fold like they're supposed to, be submissive, let us dominate. They were looking forward to that 2-week hiatus. Well, unfortunately, good old Trump said, not yet. I'm going to hold these chicks back. Now what they're going to do? You got guys up in this very same panel that was on yesterday, still blaming the Million Man March. Still blaming the Million Man March for not having a woman. Well, I talked to some people. I personally went to the Million Man March. And it was not about finding a woman. It was about atonement. It was about black men stepping up and correcting the wrong that we have done to our society as a whole. Not what white men did, not what white women did, what we as black men, as we call ourselves the leaders, the alphas of our race. Now, some things that happened to us throughout this American history, we had no control over. We had no control over slavery. We had no control over what they did to our women, our children, and to us. We had no control over that. Now here's a time in our society and in our life that we do have control. But instead of using it for good, hey, Brianna, how you doing? Instead of using it for good, they use it to trash people. They use it to talk about black women as if they are the worst things that were put on this planet. They're trying to create a society, as they call it, a patriarchal society, to where there's only men. Well, I asked them, if there's only men in your society, how long do you think you're going to last? How will you procreate? How will you move on to the next generation? Instead of an answer, I was met with that key word that they use when they don't like you. Simp. You know, if we go back to the, 90s, I think early 90s, what's the group name? Boys to Men had a song on that album called Simpin' Ain't Easy. Because it ain't. You got to have money to be as what they call a simp. But T.I. coming up into the 2000s a little bit, he corrected that. It ain't tricking if you got it. It's obvious that these guys in the manosphere and that other SYBM shit that they call, save yourself, black man, don't have it. They don't realize it's not the women that are rejecting them. It is nature. It's the inherent nature of a woman to find the strongest man to foster the next generation, because she wants her genes and she wants life past her life. You're absolutely right, crew. What it is, they get into these groups and these think tanks, into these live streams, and they have these followers, and they use big words. They go to the unabridged dictionary or Webster's or whatever, and they find the biggest 7-letter word that they could use, and they throw it out in the crowd. Whatever lands on the wall and sticks, that's what they continue with. You know, you can go into several of their broadcasts and hear them using big words that absolutely have no reason to be there. Confusion, cloudiness is what they breed over there. Anarchy, mistrust, misplaced frustration, all simply because they couldn't get the woman they desired. And a lot of them have these fantasy women in their minds. But when you look at them physically, and this is not for me to say, but I'm going to fall in their category for a minute. But if you look at them physically, they're overweight. And a lot of them not even black. On this very same particular podcaster's stream a couple days ago, I was listening, and there was a young man in there that was married. Said something disparaging about his wife. And all them niggas from the manosphere and SYSBM jumped on the bandwagon. Hell, if you can talk bad about your wife, so can I. I don't get it. In this very same broadcast yesterday, there were men in there that were advocating striking a woman at any time they felt she got out of line. Now, this is the calm version of what happened yesterday. And if you go over that particular channel, you will hear a moderate calm version. But you guys should have been backstage. It was a barroom brawl. Them niggas had me cornered. They was swinging from the left. They was swinging from the right. They came at me with some big words. They came at me with some stuff that they thought I didn't understand. Even so much so, one of the guys said, you can get out of here with that intellectual psychobabble bullshit. Well, if that was your best insult, I'll have to say thank you. You recognize that somebody on this panel has a little bit of smarts. You recognize the fact that there's somebody that's going to call you out on y'all's bullshit. That's not here to agree with you. That's not here to sit back and clap or start a slow clap when you think that you said something that resonated with the crowd. And I said, normally I don't go back and make response videos. And basically, this is not a response video. This is an informative video to let us know, those of us that really care about our communities. There's several things in these spaces that these men could talk about. They could talk about the coronavirus. They could talk about police brutality. They could talk about Colin Kaepernick. They could talk about the stock market. But instead, they talk about black women with a fever pitch. So much so that when these women do come into these spaces, they're berated so hard that these women second guess themselves. Now, I'm going to go click on over and let you listen to one of these women in particular who had enough of these niggas. And again, I use this word nigger, not with the GA, because it don't make a difference. I'm using the word nigger to describe just what they are, because black men and black women don't act like that. Hear for yourself. Let me pull on over this particular stream. Let's see. I'm not sure of the young lady's name, but you will hear it. And she's talking about one of these guys in particular. I think he's one of the ranking members of the manosphere, as they call it. But listen to what she's talking about.
Another video. For those of you who are still in denial about the real life consequences of certain black males on social media posting cyberbullying and harassing videos against black women and the consequences of those such videos, please take this video as a lesson to you all. The person I'm going to speak about, his name is Gerard Haggerty. He is a person that over a month and a half ago, among many others, that I encouraged YouTubers to report his offensive material, mainly because the videos were cyberbullying and harassing black women, calling black women all kinds of names and all kinds of nonsense. For those of you who are still in denial about people like this and the real life consequences of these words, because I believe words mean things, and because words mean things, people actually act on words that they say. Not all the time, but those who are emboldened enough to act on words they say often do it. Ask Steve Stevens, ask Cedric Anderson, acting on words that they've said.
Ask DJ Music. And she is absolutely right. Just as the Trump supporters act on what he says, these folks from SYSBM or whatever and the manosphere, their followers act on what they say. Even so much so that they go to this platform, as this woman described, cyberbullying. That is a criminal offense now. So listen to her some more.
Okay, so I bring to you the story of Gerard Haggerty. On April 18th, on his Facebook page, he posts that he was fired from his job on Tacoville. He apparently worked at some taco spot for 3 years. The reason that he says he got fired was because a black woman, who he points out has had a white or Latino boyfriend, contacted his manager or boss and told him that he had been making these videos on YouTube about black women. His bosses saw these videos and fired him from his job, according to him. This is his testimony. And he goes on to say, oh, well, if you didn't want to watch the video, don't watch. And he didn't know that he could get fired because of videos that he made off the clock in the privacy of his own home.
There it is, folks. That deflection, that excuse that they use. I was in the comforts of my own home. My man, you put something in a public space, public domain. That means anybody can listen to it at any time. So that argument of, well, I was in my own private space. If you was in your own private space, it would have never made it to YouTube. Just because YouTube doesn't have a storefront, that don't mean that not anyone can walk in and listen or look or window shop or call you out on your bullshit, as this woman did. They're quick on deflection. You heard her explaining already that I got fired from my job because a black woman, incidentally, who was dating a Latino or white guy, didn't like me. And she went and told my boss about the nasty comments that I was talking about black women about. Well, she should have reported you. Maybe she didn't feel comfortable around you. Maybe she didn't feel that coming to work at Taco Mac, Taco Bell, Tico Taco was just not a good situation as long as you were there.
Well, this is what can happen. But he got fired from his job. Apparently he found another job 3 days later, quit that job because he claims that black women called his job to get him fired. And now he wants to blame black women for what has happened to him. Ladies and gentlemen, now I'm not against the brother making a living.
I'm not against the brother making a living either, but let me give you a little background on this brother that she's particularly talking to, all right, about, I should say. Here is his intro. He's a cook at Taco Villa, former prep cook dishwasher at Taco Villa, studied at GED, high school diploma at Gary Jobs Corps in San Marcos, lives in Lubbock, Texas, from Lubbock, Texas, followed by 36 people. Boy, those are some credentials, aren't they? So he went to high school and graduated with a GED. I would imagine after going to that high school, he went to college, which we call Kick and Buck Tech. That's where he went to. That's his formal education. As I say, folks, when these people get onto these different platforms and their life is one step away from being in the street, that's the last place you should be wanting to talk bad about people, especially when you're an easy target. Former prep cook dishwasher at Taco Villa. That's the claim to his life. 30-some-year-old man. That's all he's done with his life. Say it again. Former prep cook dishwasher, studied at GED high school. Got his diploma at the Job Corps. Shit, if I know anything about the Job Corps, they hand out diplomas right where to get your hell up out of ass up out of here. You've been here 6 weeks.
I can tell you what I know, that you reap what you sow. When you sow these seeds of discord, you are going to reap destruction upon yourself. And this is why many of the black men who post the videos that they do on social media do so anonymously. They know that if they're working some 9-to-5 job or have their career in place, and if their boss or if their manager knew that they were posting these kinds of comments and kinds of things about black women, they would probably get the same fate as a Gerard Haggerty. They would probably get fired on the spot. Whatever you're working at and whatever you're doing, you know that's why you keep anonymous and keep yourself secret, because you know that what you're doing is wrong. And if you were found out, if your boss got a phone call or a screenshot of what you were doing, that it would not fare well for you in the workforce. You already...
Isn't that the same thing that happened, ladies and gentlemen, to these white women who was calling the police on little black girls selling water? Isn't that what happened to these racist white women that was on YouTube and other social media platforms calling black people niggers and different things like that? Or they thought they sent a post to some of their friends and it was summarily put out in the open and they got fired from their job because they disparaged someone else. Isn't that generally how it happens? So what made this guy Jeff Rod or Jeffrey or whatever his name is, what made him thought he was immune to that? What made him think that he could go on a social media platform, talk bad, threaten black women, bully black men, and nothing happened to him? What made him think that? Well, it's the obvious, folks. They don't think that they live in this world of it's my world, dog. Y'all just out here trying to get a nut. I didn't say nut, I said not. Because that's what they're not doing. This isn't their world. Folks, in the 60s and the 70s and the 80s and the 90s and the 50s, black folks that I'm talking about, we fought too hard and fought too long to be undermined by folks like this. You can call me a simp for standing up for a black woman. You can call me any damn name in the book that you want to. But the thing about it is, I think these guys removed themselves from trying to be black so they could have this world of I'm right. I'm right because I know the white man fucks with me, and I'm right because I know black women hate me. And they always use the same narrative. Not all black women. What do you think that when you come into these chat rooms and any black woman hears some of the profanity and the words that you use towards them, you damn right it's going to be all black women. Nature has its way of taking care of these fools. Let's listen to some more of this young lady.
Already know that. You continue to hide because you know you're wrong. You know that you get fired from your job. You know you'd get fired from wherever you're working if they knew the kind of stuff that you were saying about black women on social media. So please take this as a lesson. And I want Gerard Haggerty to personally know that I have sent screenshots of all of his page and all of the threats that he has made to black women. I've sent them all to the Lubbock County Police Department. I've sent all of those screenshots to them. And the women that you threatened, that you named and threatened on your page, they have also called the local authorities. They have also let them know that you are making threats to kill them on your page. Black women, this is the kind of action you need to take. This is why I ain't never been on no F the police mess. Because let me tell you something. Once the black community goes rogue and folks like Gerard Haggerty want to lose their mind and kill, who are you going to turn to? It ain't going to be to most black men because most black men are cowards. I've seen some things this week that really confirm it for me. Black men will not speak up for black women. Even the ones that say they care, even the ones that say that they care about black women or have openly expressed it in the past, because you have this group of black males who will threaten them, and because of their cowardice, they will not stand up to them. I've had people threaten me on social media all the time, threaten my life, threaten to come find me, threaten to come do this. Guess what? I'm still on here doing what I do because it's important to the safety of black women and girls. And guess what? Nobody else is doing it. Black men refuse to do it. They want to be in denial about what's going on, about this subsect of black men in our community that just absolutely hate their women. Hate their.
Well, on that point there, I have to disagree with the young lady because there are men of us that are upstanding black men, and we do care about the image that other black men try to put on black women. We do care about that. We do stand up. Unfortunately, there's enough of us that don't. There's enough of us that remain in silence. There's enough of us that laugh at the jokes. There's enough of us that agree with the fact that, well, we all black women ain't shit. There's enough of these black men out there that agree with that generally because they've been crushed by a black woman. Now, have I had my disagreements with black women? Of course I have. But I don't sit for 20 years and rehash the same old reason why since my baby left. You guys, I was talking to some folks last night, and I don't know, maybe some of you folks have seen this show before, but it was a show that was on in the 70s, and I think it ran until like the middle 80s or whatever. It was called Hee Haw. And there was a song that they had on there called Gloom, Despair, and Agony. I'm not a singer, but gloom, despair, and agony over me. Deep, dark depression, excessive misery. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Gloom, despair, and agony, oh me. That's the creed that a lot of these guys live by. If it weren't for bad luck, I'd have one of these fine ass black women. If it weren't for bad luck. Now, let's slide on to the next clip here. And here's another one of these SYSBM, manosphere kind of fellas. This guy's name is O'Shea Duke Jackson. Now let's hear what this man has to say.
What's up, everybody? It's another live stream on the O'Shea Duke Jackson channel. might be going in on this one. I don't know why this week I'm having to be checking niggas. Why this week niggas is wanting to get this work. I don't know why niggas picked me this week. And usually I would not respond, but this week.
Well, man, you got a whole page of responses. It seems like every time somebody talks to you about something, you go back and make a repost about it. Well, what do you mean you don't have time? This seems to me this is what you do.
It's been a week that I'm checking niggas. This is checking you niggas week. I'm checking you. Checking everybody. Donovan Sharp made a video. The name of the video is called Why I Stay Silent on Black Issues in Black YouTube. Donovan. You got my picture all on the goddamn thumbnail. Minister Jab, Cynthia Field. Donovan.
Come on, get to it, man.
Donovan.
Get to it, man. What you want?
Boy.
Yeah, I understand. Let it out, nigga. Let it out.
Donovan.
Searching for
Step
words.
on up.
Searching for words to say, folks. That's exactly what he's doing. He's trying to he is trying to compile his thoughts to where he can get enough nasty grams and put them all together to where they make sense. Donovan.
And I'm like licking my chops, nigga, because when I seen the stream, I said, this is the right. I'm glad. I've been waiting to say something to you anyway, nigga. But I just whatever. I think I'm gonna keep it kind of clean, Donovan, with you, because you're actually kind of crazy, and I don't think you really know what's going on in your life a lot of times. So the other dude, I think but you just, I don't know, nigga. You just on some shit. I remember when I met you. No, and I gotta say this since my name was mentioned. You were writing for Return of Kings. And at the time, you were in the Return of Kings dog house.
He's searching.
You were in the dog house, dog. I actually don't dislike you, but you were in the dog house. Like what you're doing right now with the Red Man group, those dudes wasn't fucking with you. None of those white guys was fucking with you, dog. None of them. Nobody. You were in the dog house with them. You're working a regular job. And thanks to Obsidian told me about you and your work. Now, see, Donovan, you left the Brother Pill where you were the man to be a second or third or fourth fiddle on the Red Man Group podcast, to be the token black person, where you still get clowned in the comment section by those same white subscriber fans. And I know they're not paying you. See, it's a lot of shit that I keep in over the years.
See, that's what I'm saying, folks. See how quickly he mentioned what how white folks disparage black people by having them on their panels and using them as, the Sambos, the Yasabosses, and different things like that. But if you notice, if you go to his channel, this O'Shea Jackson's channel, you don't see any posts attacking those white men. But yet he will take his time, collect his words, and make a post to destroy another black man. And that was one of the questions I asked those gentlemen yesterday. I mean, you mean to tell me that you guys are really mad? You guys are really upset because I stood up for a black woman, even though I didn't know her? That's what the real crust of your argument is? Kind of strange to me. Now, here is him talking about another one of their founders. They call this guy the Angry Man. And these two, from what I understand, were supposed to be bestest of buddies. But because they couldn't get along with the names that they chose, because they wanted top billing on their channel, these two characters decide to argue with each other. And it's back to back. O'Shea Jackson on Angry Man. And Angry Man turns around and goes in on O'Shea Duke Jackson. So let's hear a little of these brothers who claim to be down for each other attack each other. I tell you, they make it too easy. Anyone with a half a brain can go into these spaces that they call the manosphere and SYSBM and any other places that they hang out at and literally destroy them in a matter of seconds with their own words, with their own thoughts. So let's listen to Mr. Jackson talk on the Angry Man.
Don't be complimenting that nigga. You know what I mean? Don't be talking about that nigga. He the reason why blah 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 blah. And in 2019, I felt sorry for you then. And a lot of you niggas need to feel sorry for a lot of these niggas. I mean, this is what it is. Whenever you are a nigga, somebody talking about, was you selling drugs? This is a stupid ass question. Get him out of my chat. And then you go with the blatant lie. Brother Ramil, you understand what we're talking about? Niggas making up different stories, not telling the truth. But I'm telling you, how much longer, nigga, are we gonna keep going through the same shit with these niggas? Every year, 2020? 2020 supposed to have the same battles we was having in 2017? I'm gonna tell you brothers, man, seriously. Your success gonna hurt a lot of people, dog. That's just the truth. Now we ain't talking about me. What a big you nigga. Now we can talk about you guys. Your success gonna hurt a lot of people. It just is. And niggas are gonna feel some type of way. And the whole show's in them. Because if somebody else compliments you or admires your work, don't be complimenting that nigga. You know what I mean? Don't be talking about that nigga. He the reason why blah 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 blah. And blah 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 blah. Being a stupid fucking idiot because the motherfuckers that fuck with me always gonna fuck with me.
That's Mr. Jackson on the Angry Man. Now, have you noticed he did say something that made absolute sense to me? And I'll give him credit for that. The success that you guys are having on these channels is destroying other people's lives. I'll say it again. The success that these guys on the manosphere is having is destroying other people's lives, meaning you got folks out there that really believe this is how a black man should act. You have 25, 30-year-old, 40-year-old black men out there acting like they're 17, arguing with each other about a title. Nigga changed the name. And let's hear the angry man and his response to Mr. O'Shea Jackson.
And I named it that long before O'Shea Duke Jackson was a name on this motherfucker. He did write the book, right? So it would only make sense that if you do a live stream, you would actually have him there to discuss the book. You feel me? Like that's real shit. And so Alan said, well, look, man, he said he didn't appreciate it, right? He said, because that's his intellectual property, right? All of that makes sense, right? Alan goes on to say, how would you feel, O'Shea, if I titled Discussions about the Black Manosphere and the Negro Manosphere? You would lose your mind. I'm gonna say this one time and one time only. I don't give a fuck how many of you niggas don't like it. The Black Manosphere and the Negro Manosphere are two separate goddamn things. I don't know how many fucking times I gotta say that shit. O'Shea Duke Jackson is not the fucking head of the Black Manosphere. Stop saying that goofy shit. That's my goddamn intellectual property, because I'm the motherfucker that named this shit the Black Manosphere.
He mad, y'all. He mad because he feels that O'Shea Jackson stole his intellectual property. Well, I think if you went into the dictionary and found those words, they're open for anyone to use. Unless you went into the office of the patent office and laid a patent on that particular brand or that particular name, it's fair use. Why do you think there's so many songs out there with the same damn title? It's fair use. You can't tell someone which words to use and which words not to use. You can't tell somebody how to name something and what not to name something. Angry man. Now understand your premise of your intellectual property, but your argument is moot. You have no ground to stand on when someone uses words that are readily able and ready to use out of a dictionary. You have no intellectual property when it comes to that. That is not a form of plagiarism. That is not stealing your property. Now, these two were supposed to be the bestest of friends in 2019. And here we are, we're not even halfway into 2020. They call themselves a pack of wild dogs. He sure did. He cooked them. You're absolutely right. He absolutely cooked them. And brought a big bowl of ice cream later on to have some dessert. You're absolutely right. And those less than that 2 minutes, he described everything that went on in there. Don't be complimenting that nigga, because don't tell that guy you admire his work. That's going to take away some of my credibility. That's going to make me look bad if you allow one of my so-called underlings to outshine me. I can't have that. What you not gonna do, see, is what you not gonna do is come over to my space and upstage me. Because that's my intellectual property. We can go all the way back, folks, to remember those fighting the dragon kind of movies, the Sinbad and the Seven Voyages. How did they defeat the monster? They cut his head off. And that's how we have to defeat the Manosphere and SYBM and all those other folks. We got to chop their heads off, meaning the heads of the leaders of these groups that think it's okay to go out and talk about people like they do. I think that's okay. Now, we all have our faults. We all have that time to where we may have said something disparaging about our group of people. I don't think anyone in here, black or white or brown or whatever, can say, no, I haven't not talked bad about my own race, because we all have. But these guys take it just a little bit too far. Right, exactly. Their crew. It's like Hydra. You chop one head off, another one grows back. And that's why to use that analogy there, crew, what we have to do is we have to have more than one fighter. Because sometimes it's a two-headed dragon that we have to slay. So we need a real man over here to tend to this head, and we need a real man over here to attend to this head. As what happened yesterday in that chat room, in that particular space, they try to make that argument all about me. They try to make it seem like that it was me coming there causing discontent. And actually, what they got upset about was the fact that I stood up for a black woman that I didn't know. That's right, crew. We have to have a team, so to speak, a team of dragon slayers. And we're not afraid to walk into the mouth of the lion. Because they will come at you with some nasty stuff, folks. You got to have thick skin when you go in there. They'll talk about your mama. Even though yesterday they talked about my parents, and I explained to both of them, well, my parents are dead. So that argument doesn't work for me. And even if my parents were alive, that argument still wouldn't work for me, because I know who my parents are and I know what great people they were. One of them even so much as said, how old are you, and how old or your mama is. I might have been with your mama. Yeah, you might have been. I don't know what my mama did before I was born. But I know one thing she did, the best thing she did. If she was dealing with you, she got rid of you and found her real man, as in my father. Now, there's a list. There was a whole list that somebody else compiled about how these guys gang up on each other. And again, as I'm reading down in the chat room, and that's another thing that came to my attention. They was telling folks yesterday in this particular space that you should not pay attention to what the folks are saying in the chat room. You should not engage them while they're in the chat room. What is the purpose of those folks being there? Just to sit like a sheep and not say anything? The only time you should speak is if you agree with them. What's the purpose of having folks in a chat room if you don't comment or speak about something that they typed, or you don't answer their questions, or you don't invite them on their panels to give a for or con against what they just said? They don't want that. They like to choose soft targets. People who don't fight back, people who will readily just walk away. Well, I know there's about 5, 6, 7, 8 of us right now that's not going to walk away. Are we outnumbered? You're absolutely right. We are outnumbered. Are the real simps winning? Yeah, they are right now. The real simps. The real fellas that are mad because they can't get a woman. The real fellas who haven't had sex since the Million Man March. The real fellas who have not been in a committed relationship because they're too hell-bent on talking bad about women, posting it on YouTube, and a woman that they might be interested in, hey, check out my YouTube page. Oh, really? You got a YouTube page? Let me go look at it. And the first thing she hears about is how nasty black women are. Nigga, please. Black women need to submit. Crew, you might be right about that, and it just may take a little time for folks to, as you say, congregate and come together. So you may be right. There may be some of us out there in the shadows, but a lot of the times, and I'll take this back to history a little bit. A lot of times, silence is the wrong thing to do. When I say I'll take this back to history, you remember, of course, we all remember the Holocaust. And a lot of those concentration camps were less than 50 to 300 yards from a main city. And these German folks went on about their life as there was nothing going on behind those walls. There was not people being murdered. There were not people being tortured. There were not people being used for scientific experiments. Their silence was equated to their complacency. Given these Nazis and these Germans pretty much carte blanche to do what they want to do because the people didn't say anything about it. It's not my fight. Well, none of us know how many days we have left on this earth. Whether you're young or whether you're old, there's not a day that's promised to us. You're absolutely right. Silence is consent. And I saw that from a few people just now, crew. Silence is consent. I said this is not a makeup video to sit back and talk about people. This is a video to point out these people that I'm talking about. These people, instead of getting on these YouTube channels and preaching gospel to black people without negativity, is what I'm pointing out. And for those of you in the manosphere and the SYBM or whatever that is, Save Yourself Black Man, for those of you out there, as I told you yesterday, don't go flagging my damn channel, because that's what y'all do. And you have some of these guys said, I've been doing this for 5 years. Fellas, I've been doing this for over 20. I've been speaking to people for over 20 years. When I was in the Marine Corps, I was a commander of troops. Their life was in my hands by the words that came out of my mouth. I sent them into harm's way sometimes. I expected them to fight until there was no fight left in them, because I did the same thing. If there was a toilet to be cleaned, I didn't ask any of my troops to go and clean the toilet without them seeing me do it first. There was a bullet to be fired. I didn't let my troops fire a bullet without letting them know I'm firing right with you. These guys use history as a punchline. One of these guys said yesterday that Black Lives Matter is all about women. So I went to Black Lives Matter's channel. I went to their website And the very first thing that he said, that if you go to Black Lives Matter website, you will not see a black man on there. I went because I'm a fact checker. And as soon as you go on the site, the very first person you see is Trayvon Martin. The next picture that you see is of a black man walking through a park with his son. The next picture you see is a black man, a black woman, and a black child. So what site was he looking at? Now, does Black Lives Matter have its wrong? Of course they do. But that's another part of our underbelly of our society that we have to deal with. We know that there's crookedness in there, i.e. Kasim Reed in Atlanta. And you're absolutely right. That's another thing they do. They'll create a lie to prove their point. See, what they don't realize is for guys like me, we dwell in both atmospheres. We dwell in both worlds. We can be nerdy if need to be, but we also can be street hood if need to be. Yesterday, I think they underestimated me and guys like me. To say it lightly, folks, they got their ass handed to them yesterday. They went into a phone booth with a polecat and lost. I even invited them to go get a couple more fellas. Go get some more. Go bring your best to me so I can eviscerate them as well. Yep, a polecat. That's right. But when I'm saying this, folks, sometimes you have to make light of these situations. You have to add some funnies to it. And that's what I tried to do when I was over there yesterday. Even though I was a little hot under the collar and they took me out of my comfort zone, my level. As I told them, you can't put something out there and tell somebody how they're going to respond to it. You can't slap me and then tell me that I can't kick you in the balls. You can't talk about my mama and get mad when I tell you, ask your last girlfriend if I'm a man or not. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt to say I'm not messing with the woman that you're with, because chances are you probably don't have one. But I'm probably the reason, or guys like me is probably the reason you don't have a girlfriend. As I said, ask your last girlfriend, am I a man or not? Again, with all the problems that black folks face on a daily basis, why is one of the problems that we have to face is these young brothers in these spaces lighting black women up and lighting black men up for protecting them. That's right. You absolutely can't. You cannot throw a punch and tell somebody you can't hit me that hard. You can't. And again, for those of you down in this chat room space over there, this is what I'm talking about. These guys will literally ignore their followers and their listeners and have conversations amongst themselves. Why broadcast it? Why talk about it? If the folks that you're trying to convey the message to is not part of the equation. Again, you say something to them and they have a ready response to it. As one of the gentlemen in that panel yesterday said, I'm conditioned. I'm conditioned to stand up for black women. Like, that's something wrong with that. I corrected him. I call it instinct. I call it man instinct, or whether she's black, white, green, or whatever. If I see a woman in a compromising situation where someone I know that's can either do harm to her and I don't step in, that makes me less than a man. You've seen these videos, folks, on YouTube where the woman had to step in and save her man. That reminds me of some of those cats over there at the Manosphere. The shade tree kind of guy. Right. Again, they did that pretty much that same thing yesterday. They told me I was talking too long, that I didn't let them get their point across, that I was cutting them off. Why are you here? For the same reason that you're here. I'm here to support this particular channel. Well, you can't come onto these spaces disagreeing with us. Yes, I can. I just did. The disrespect level that you guys give anyone else was good for the goose is good for the gander. You know, I thought before the outbreak of yesterday's events, I thought we were having a pretty good discussion in there. Myself and a young fellow by the name of BMT. Although we didn't see eye to eye on a few things, he had his say and I had my say, and we came to a common ground. Not once did I attack any of these fellas. There was no need to. Absolutely no need to. Again, from some of the clips that you've heard, that I used, you know, I can read several of these. Actually, let me read some of these. ARC parts ways with O'Shea Jackson. O'Shea Jackson talks live on Soto TV. Checking BGS IB Moore, Angry Man, and his son. Obsidian's meltdown. Does Obsidian sound like a bitter mod? Those are just some of the, dare I say, content that they put out. The first time Sinful the P got arrested. Hardcore Tito lies about raping a 14-year-old woman. That doesn't make sense. A 14-year-old is not a woman. She's still a child. Those are the kind of posts that they put up. Those are the kind of arguments they have with each other and their supporters. The inevitable. I ain't mad at O'Shea Jackson. What was the dish on this? Why are they so upset at each other? Why are these so-called guys that's supposed to be friends, brothers in the struggle, why are they parting ways over chat rooms and Patreon accounts and what do you call it? Cash apps. Because yes, again, yesterday they attacked me with that very same thing. Brother, I'm not here to collect a paycheck. I'm fine at where I'm at. I'm fine with what I'm doing. I don't need the government stimulus, although if it's sent to me, I'll take it. I don't need the Patreon account. I don't need the Cash App. Basically, I use YouTube as a form of, I would say, entertainment and information. If I really wanted to just broadcast, I have a radio station for that. Did you hear that, guys? For those of you out there from the manosphere, I have a radio station for that. I am that guy that you're talking about that has his own life. I am that guy that you're talking about that has his own money. I am that guy that will come into your chat room and say what the hell I feel. I am that guy that you do not want to run up against. Because for 4 of those 10 years that I was in Marine Corps, those so-called hard-ass city folk or big-time hardcore dudes that say, I can go into the Marine Corps, within 24 hours, I had them in their rack crying. If you know what rack is, that was bed. Within 24 hours of them getting off that bus at Paris Island, they were crying. And I will say this. For every 10,000, well, maybe the number's a little, maybe I'm a little stretched with the numbers, but just go with me on this, rock with me on this. For every 10,000 men or women that sign up in the Marine Corps, it's only about 1,500 that make it. It's only about 1,500 that actually graduate boot camp. When I went to boot camp, I started with 180 troops in my original boot camp class. When we graduated, it was only 50. War of attrition. And that's what we're up against now. It's a war of attrition. Can we outlast these? I'll use their words. Can we outlast these Maggles? Can we outsmart them? Can we point them in the right direction? Maybe, man, I understand you got a complaint. And I understand that your complaint might be valid, but there is a better way to register your complaint. There is a better way. But since YouTube doesn't censor these guys, they don't check their talk. They don't censor anything they say. They believe that cursing is the best way to articulate themselves. And we all know that's not to be true. That's right. Ring, ring, ring. They rang the bell. Absolutely. They rang the bell. Can't make it, coach. Take me out the game. And in time that I went to, when I joined the service, the requirements to be a Marine or to be in the Navy or be in the Air Force or in the Army, the requirements was a little bit more stricter, a little bit more strenuous. Now, let's get to another side of these guys. Another part of their complaint. I'm going to wrap this up here pretty soon, folks. Let's get to another side of their complaints. They say that they can't find no good black women here in the United States of America, so they go abroad. They go to places like Brazil, and to use a word that I heard from another YouTuber, they go to these, no disrespect, but these dirty foot countries, as they call them. And they find a woman that's in probably, you know, rural somewhere that $3 of our money is $100 of their money. Buy him a little trinket here, buy him a little trinket there, and they figure, I got this woman. I can have sex with her anytime I want to. Buying stoves. Again, simping ain't easy. It ain't tricking if you got it. So I ain't mad at you. If you want to go overseas and spend your money somewhere, that's your business. But tell people the real reason why you going overseas. Excuse my language, ladies, for those of you that are listening. Tell these folks the real reason why you going overseas buying pussy. They sell pussy in the United States. Sure do. That's the oldest profession in the world. They sell it here. You might not be able to find none for sale in the manosphere. But I would venture if you went to Vegas instead of going to South America, you probably can get it. The right amount of money. But also another reason why they go over there, a lot of these guys I've noticed go over there to mess with underage girls. Yes, they do. Reported incidents of these guys being busted, going over there, messing with 13, 14, 15-year-old girls, where in this country they would be put up under the jail. Well, not actually. They wouldn't be put up under the jail. They'd be put in the cell with Big Hammer and Harry. And Harry would hammer his ass for the mere fact that he was shorty snatching. Hey, Lady Neek, how you doing? Peace to you. But as I said, folks, you know, yesterday was an eye-opening experience for me. I didn't realize that they could rally the troops that fast. I didn't realize by standing up for a black woman was something I shouldn't have done in their space. And I only have one word for that. It's a compound word: bullshit. I am a grown man with nieces and sisters, and unfortunately my mother's departed. And I wouldn't want anyone to talk to my sisters, my nieces, my aunts in the way that they speak about women, in particular black women. Now, you do have some panels that are neutral. They sure do. They are neutral. They go over there and they give everybody free reign to what they want to speak and how they want to speak. But for some reason or the other, these guys thought that this particular channel belonged to them. This is our space, not realizing that YouTube could shut their ass down at any time they wanted to. Can't do that at GSRN Radio. I own that. I could give them a spot if they were speaking the correct language. If they were speaking for the good of Black America. I can give you 2 hours on my radio station and let you speak all you want. YouTube can't shut it down. Facebook can't shut GSRN Radio down. No one has to come over there and put coins in my purse, so to speak, for me to operate. I don't have to disparage people to gain followers. I don't have to talk about the ills of Black women to attract listeners. I don't fight with my DJs about something that he or she or I disagree with. We have meetings about that. Well, I think it could be done this way. Well, I think it should be done that way. And as a leader, you weigh everybody's opinion and you make the best decision on what it does to make what you're doing successful. That's right. They don't own it. And all of us that have these YouTube channels, none of us own these channels. We're just renting space. To put it in perspective, you go to a strip mall and you see all these little different stores in these cubby holes. That's basically what YouTube is. You're allowed to operate in their building as long as you follow their guidelines and their standards. And the minute that you don't, you're evicted. Now, I've been on this YouTube platform minus this part for quite some time. For quite some time. Never been flagged. Never. 6, 7 years now. Never been flagged. I wonder how long it's going to take now to get flagged. They thought I was joking, but I understand the content of what they do. You niggas don't go to my channel flagging it, okay? Because I know that's what y'all do. Exactly. That's exactly what I'm saying. Or in some cases, there will be a developer that would allow Walmart or some of these other stores to put a building there, and they give them a 99-year lease, although the property that the building sits on belongs to that person with that lease now. Because once Walmart builds the store, it's not like they can pick that store up and move it on. And it's almost the same premise here on this YouTube. But the thing about it is, on YouTube, it's not like you can pick up and move on. You have to start from ground zero again if YouTube shuts your channel down. Ask Tracy Morgan to try and flag Walmart down. We all know, not making light of Tracy Morgan's unfortunate event, but you know, he had a accident in a Walmart parking lot. Damn near killed him. Walmart's still open. But again, you know, these guys are in these spaces and believe that because they are the content creators that they actually own that space. So they should be able to regulate who comes into that space. And if you do come into that space, their space, as they say, then be prepared for what happens to you. So you mean to tell me, again, if this was a storefront and I sat down in your restaurant to have a meal, your waitress comes and talks to me any kind of way, or write something on the check, on the ticket for the black folks over there on table 4. You see what I'm saying? So it's basically the same principle. Why would I go someplace, or why would I frequent someplace if I didn't like what was on the menu? It's sometimes the hardest thing for some people to do, folks, is swallow truth. Truth hurts sometimes. Hurts harder than any punch. Words last longer than any punch I've ever had. I can remember some things from way back in the early 80s that's been said to me versus someone punching me. And these guys here in this manosphere and this SYBM, Save Yourself Black Man acronym, again, I'll have to ask you, what are you saving yourself from? Are you saving yourself from white supremacy? No, because you don't talk about them. Are you saving yourself from police brutality? No, because you don't talk about that. Are you saving yourself for vote to make sure that when you go to a voting poll that you have that your vote will be counted? Are you saving yourself from that? Are you saving yourself from being summarily watched as you go into a store, or arrested because you fit the description? Is that what you're saving yourself from? No, not these guys. They're saving themselves from the wretched black woman, from whence they came. You got 32, 34-year-old, 35-year-old men still talking about, my daddy owed me child support. Huh? Your daddy owe you child support. How old are you? Again, I'm reading down the chat room. Another good description. Dumb. Put periods in between it if you want to make it look official. D.U.M.B. Acronym. Dumb. Dumb as a rock. I say, like I told that guy in the chat room yesterday, I know what you did. You went to the grocery store There was nothing else on the shelf except for a bag of dumbass. And you bought 3 of them. You ate one on the way to the show, and you sat down and was munching on the other 2. And you shared it amongst your friends. All y'all was having a big bag of dumbass in there with ranch dressing. Fair warning. Manosphere, SYBM guys. I forgot more about fucking up somebody's life than you'll ever remember. You picked the wrong guy to call a simp. I don't take lightly to that. I'm a grown man. You picked the wrong dude to call a simp. You picked the wrong guy with a bunch of friends. You picked a guy that's all right in his community. So I'm sure right now their scouts are out seeing what kind of information that they can pull up on me. Seeing if they could scout out somebody in my family. See if they can scout out one of my friends. See if they can scout out one of my connections so they can go harass them via me. Fair warning. Fair warning. I am not that guy. I can make your life a miserable living hell and never meet you. When someone says something and they say it with passion and vigor, you might want to pay attention. So I'm going to repeat this again. As I told you guys in that chat room yesterday, the apparatuses that you use, call it YouTube, Facebook, what is that, IG, and all these other platforms was created by my generation. The size of your computer, to where it's easy to carry around, to where you could use your phone and talk to people from anywhere, was created by my generation. We gave these tools to use for you guys to be better. We invented these tools to get better. Because if you look at the internet as a whole, it was created by who? A black man. White man stole the idea, just as they always do. There's another guy on this very same panel that says black women will never be as smart as him. No matter what job they hold, no matter what title they have, they're intellectually incapable of being smarter than me. He didn't say men, he said me. I would venture to say, to ask that woman who came up with the numbers to where they could send a man to the moon. I would say, go back to the pyramids and look at some of the hieroglyphics on the walls to where black women was revered. That black women weren't on the fringes of society. That's what made up the society. So I'll say this again. You do not want to come after me. The best thing that you can do, gentlemen, is to make your videos, let your crowd listen to them, get your applause from them, and move on about your business. Because if you come after me, if you come after my acquaintances, by the time I am through with you, they won't ask what got a hold of you, but how the fuck did you get away? Don't let the gray hairs on the chin fool you. Don't let the little bit of snow on the roof that I allow to grow from time to time fool you. I'm a tooth chipper. Don't have to swing one punch. You come after me, you come after my friends, you come after people just in general for no reason, and I'm there, I'm going to put you on the spot. Now, in that same breath, if you men from the manosphere or Save Yourself Black Man, if you want to come on to my panel or to my radio show and have a grown man discussion, you're welcome to. I relish that. I look forward to that. Maybe one of us can point out the error of your ways. Because what you're not going to do, to repeat what someone else said, what you're not going to do is run me off. What you're not going to do is scare me. What you're not going to do is scare some of the friends that I've met since this journey that I've started. One thing I can say, though, what makes it easier is the fact that, wow, for a number of years, the life of a young man at 18 years old was placed into my hands. And it was up to me to get him, once his parents passed him on, it was up to me to get him ready for the world. It was up to me to point out, this is what you should do, this is what's right, and this is what's wrong. This is what you joined the Corps for. You know, let me comment on that one also there, my man. And see, that's the problem with a lot of these guys. They have that Oedipus complex. And we all know that came from Baby Boy, but they do. They want their mama to be their woman, or vice versa. Or they live in this household to where the mother is still upset with the father and the father is still upset with the mother. So each time they get in touch with each other, it's an open season, mad discussion of talking trash about each other. The father goes on about his business. The child is left there with an angry mother that reminds her of the guy she just had an open argument with. So she takes it out on him. She takes it out on him. I'll fix that nigga. Your daddy ain't shit. He a lowlife. Here, listen to how he talk about your mama. Father comes back to see the child. The child looks at him with discontent. What's wrong, son? I heard what you were saying about my mama. Then those guys from the manosphere will say, I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. Those threatening tactics that they use. That loud bravado that they use. Again, one of the fellows that I was speaking to last night said one thing about the manosphere and the SYSBMs over there, that they don't like folks with heavy voices. They don't like men with baritone in their voice. This is natural. This is a natural way of speaking for me. So imagine if I got excited. Imagine me being a drill instructor and I got 8 to 10 weeks to turn a street kid to a lean, mean fighting machine. You think I got time to be nice? You think I got time to allow a kid that's about to go out and work on a $60 million aircraft? You think I got time to let him make mistakes? You should have spoke to them a little nicely. Maybe they would have been a little bit more. I'm not there to make you comfortable. Just as I attack the white supremacists, I'm not there to make your life comfortable. I'm not there to coddle you. I'm not there to say, oh, well, you didn't mean to say that. Yes, you did. I'm there to correct you and check you. That's why I titled this stream Chin Checking. Because if you could have put what happened today in some kind of cartoon form or some kind of animation form, you would have seen there was at some point in time that, I was in there, up at them. They had me on the ropes. They rushed me, pushed me back in the corner. But they don't know there's no such thing as a fair fight. So I grabbed one of them niggas by the nuts. BGS. Didn't let go until my man cut that stream. Since you were there, since you was the best guy that they sent towards me, yeah, I called you out for purpose. Your intellectual speaking does not impress me. The way you speak, you do articulate yourself quite well, but you don't impress me. You don't impress a lot of real men. You hide behind big words. You hide behind words that people don't see every day. You hide behind false advertising. From what I understand, you are one of those guys that is up in age, over 50, and the leader of the pack over there. You and the angry man. So now that I've called you two out specifically, I'm considering you the Hydras. And I got somebody to cut both y'all heads off. Anybody else that want to join in? I got some folks for you too. We ain't playing with you no more. I'm not going to let you go into these spaces and somebody comes in and just attack women for no reason. I'm not going to allow that. You guys say you have freedom of speech. Well, so do we. I know. That's what it was. I didn't impress them enough. I didn't fall in line with them. They expected me to fall in line with them. You're absolutely right. So I didn't impress them. I was a disappointment to them. Not to bring out one particular name, but there's a YouTuber that I've come familiar with. His name is Cerulean. He doesn't impress them very much either. From some of the videos that I've heard, they've pretty much considered him as someone that's against their cause. There's another lady out there. I'll name a few of these folks. Sister George, they don't like her. They follow her around just to disparage her. I don't know these people personally. Never met them, never spoke with them. Minus the one that I mentioned earlier. But I noticed that they will definitely go and seek out other people to have content. They will go to someone else's broadcast, record it, and play it back and put their spin on it for their fans. Well, I hope you do this. I hope you do this broadcast justice by doing the same. And any one of your followers over there that disagree with me, then that's fine. Step up to the plate and tell me why. Step up to the plate and tell me why it's okay to sit around and disparage black people. Tell me why you don't go over to white supremacist channel and disparage white people. Explain that to me. Explain it. So, crew, and as you said, I would imagine that they say you don't impress me, DJ Music. Well, I'm not there to make an impression on them. It doesn't make a difference to me whether I see them today or tomorrow. But in some chance, by some strange stretch of the imagination, that I do run into one of these fellas, it won't be that, hey, you can't talk to me any kind of way. Bring this back to the light there, folks, in another 5 minutes, and I'm going to shut it down. Think about this. Go into a barbershop, right? That old black second church that we call the barbershop. Men are in there. Men are in there speaking on community issues. Remember barbershop? As soon as Cedric the Entertainer said a disparaging word about Rosa Parks, remember how the barbershop got in all kind of uproar? Wait a minute now. We're not going to allow that. Did any of them folks in there know Rosa Parks personally? Did any of them know her? They spoke a little bit about Malcolm X. And as I told them, if you look at the body of work of the brother Malcolm, and if you really knew his work, you would see what he was up against. A bunch of folks that was around him that worked, that worked for the man. Sambos did everything Malcolm did and went back and told the FBI, i.e. J. Edgar Hoover. To make my point even more poignant, folks, here it is. You go to any museum, library, or these thrift stores or whatever. Find me a KKK uniform. Find me a robe in a hood. Find it. But if you go to these same places that I just mentioned, you can find the uniforms of the Black Panthers. You can find the history of the Black Panthers, because it's usually defined at the end by bullet holes. Why don't they talk about that? Why don't they point these things out? Folks, again, I don't understand. I don't understand the whole ramifications of what it is that I'm basically, that I'm joining here, this league of correction. That's what I like to refer to it as. We got a bunch of brothers out there that's need some correction, need some better guidance. And people don't hear you when you whisper to them. They don't pay attention when you speak soft to them. But they damn sure hear you when you start screaming. With that, folks, I want to thank y'all very much for spending the time to listen to me. Again, we will do this maybe again this weekend, and I'll open up the panel for discussion. If you guys want to talk about this later on, you can hit me up at gsrn001@gmail. Or is there another topic that you would like me or the guys that I'll have on the panel to discuss? That's what these things are about. To get ideas from you guys of what we can do better. That's basically what this is for. And to quote the young lady in the chat room Thank you, Lady Neek. Appreciate it. To quote the lady from yesterday, what we all need to do is figure out a better way to conduct ourselves in public. If we have a disagreement, let's speak on that disagreement with control and compassion. I'm a firm believer that somebody that's older than me probably has a lot more wisdom than me. And I'm not going to be so readily as to kick what they say to the curb based on the life that I've lived. If I'm 30 years old, there's nothing that another 30-year-old could tell me about life ahead of this, because he hasn't been there. But a 50-year-old can tell me. He can tell me about the pitfalls. He can tell me about the good, about the bad. Last thing I'll say is, fellas, this is your warning. Now, we can speak like men, or I can bury you. You choose. I never have to see you, but I can bury you. Be careful, the match that you strike might burn your fingertips. With that, folks, have a good afternoon.